So like my personal story, the reason I wanted to do these workshops here is because I go to workshops. I go to learn. Yeah. And I would encourage people that come to ours, go to others. Like we're not the only one.
Welcome to the Value Factory Podcast, brought to you by OneAccord. We're all about helping businesses thrive and grow through leadership, strategy, and meaningful impact. Now, whether you're a seasoned executive or just starting out, our goal is to provide insights and inspiration to help you navigate your journey. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome again. Welcome back to the Value Factory. I am joined by Huba Rostonics. We have just spent a whole day in our Value Accelerator Workshop and the content. So excited for the next one that's coming up. We just wanted to share some thoughts, some observations, some stories about what folks that attend the workshop might come to expect. The first thing that I want to say, Huba, is thank you so much for putting this workshop together. Tremendous amount of work went into imagining a full day. Just appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, Nick, thank you. And the honor is mine. And amazing day, by the way. It's been through a lot of content, a lot of things. It's we learned a couple of things, right?
Yes, we did.
We talked about babies even, which was we may or may not talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Really good.
And really looking forward to the next one. Yeah.
So where do we start in this conversation? There were a few things that
I don't know. So we started with lots of expectations on this. We initially, when we started doing this, we started with a very ambitious goal, right? Mm-hmm. At least I think. I believe that the product that I think that today talks to the product that we have developed, that it's going to be very valuable for people, right? That go through it. Right?
The product, just in a nutshell. One day in our office here, Kirkland, Washington, we've got a conference room that's not large, so we put 15 people in there. It's cramped. So we like to keep it intimate. We like, 12 people in the room is about right.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the right setting for these types of events, right? It's when it's too few people, interaction is not as strong. When you go past maybe a dozen people, then it starts to, they have the benefit of getting lost in the crowd, right? So there's people who go quiet.
Get over 12, it turns into a seminar.
Right.
Where we're just talking at people.
Yes. And we don't want that.
A dozen people, we can break up into small groups of 2 or 3 or 4, right? Which we'll do throughout the day. Mm-hmm. We can engage in conversation. There's peer learning. The workshop really is a workshop.
It is.
Doing work. Yeah. But it comes from this place of, we joked earlier, I joked, how many books have you read?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's if I think about it, I try to read about, it could be around 30 books a year. That's kind of like my goal. There's people who go crazy and read hundreds. But when you add them all up, it's a bunch. And most books have maybe 1 to maybe 3 ideas in there that are valuable, right? That you can actually use in your business and in context. Yeah. There's some exceptional books out there, right, where you can almost live by them. There's religions based on books. So, but most business books have 1 or 2 ideas, and bringing those together out of dozens of different business books and capturing the single idea that is out there and putting it in context so that you can use it in your business. I think that's a fantastic idea. If I could have had that years ago, that would have been very valuable.
We live in a world where somebody might even be watching this on a YouTube short. We have 3 seconds or 5 seconds for somebody's attention. So in this context, we've got 30 books a year that you're reading. and you're pulling from those ideas, we arrange the workshop in a way that frames an idea, but then puts the participant right into the place of doing the work that is prescribed by the book and applying that. And you've got our worksheets throughout.
Worksheets like this, right?
Just throughout the day, it's concept idea, but how does this apply to my company? Concept idea, how does this apply to my company? And working all the way through that.
Right. And the cool thing is then you walk away with these, you take them home or to work, right? And now you can execute on them, reflect back on what you learned, take steps on doing them, etc. So yeah, it's definitely actionable.
And we will say throughout the day, we'll ask folks to think, okay, what could you do in your company that could either make or save, some modest amount every week? And if we can uncover just a few of those ideas to move the needle, either the top line or in the middle, just a couple $100 a week.
Yeah.
They're paying for the investment of being in the workshop 10 times over. Grant Cardone is probably the most prolific in the 10x your life, 10x your thing.
Yeah.
And if I think about the cost of the investment of somebody coming to a workshop and how do we deliver 10 times the value of that?
Yeah.
Like
easily
10x ROI.
Yeah.
Like that's really only a couple $100 a week that someone makes or saves in their business, and they're paying for this.
Super easy to reach that point. Yeah. After what you get here. Yeah.
And that was made fun. Another thing that was made fun of was me.
That was,
there's a component of the workshop that is focused on sales.
Absolutely.
Right? We talk about the economic engine and lead generation and the offer, but then also closing. And, I stepped up and did a role play on walking somebody through a sales closing in a HVAC business, of which I don't have any firsthand. And it was a tough go. But participants in the room can watch me do that and apply what they actually know in their own closing framework.
Yeah, I think there is a tendency also for people, let me help this guy. It's poor. They want to jump in, and they are kind of in their minds coming up with ideas on what they could say, right?
Yeah.
Instead of what you're doing. So that worked. I think it was educational.
It's always interesting when you volunteer to do the fishbowl role play thing, but we got to do it. Have fun. Yeah. Lots of laughs throughout the day too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about finance? We talked about finance as well, right?
I appreciate delivering that section of the day. My 25-year career in banking, I've seen thousands of financial statements, worked with hundreds of owners of companies. And it's almost liberating now for me to be able to speak more candidly with owners.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell a bank. I'm not trying to sell banking services or loans. And even as a banker, listen, bankers have the highest ethic of business people in my opinion. The people that I worked with, supremely ethical. And it's really difficult to be super candid because, they're just bound by certain kind of constraints where now I'm not. So I can say to the owner of the company, nope, that needs some attention on the financial statements. And this is what you pay attention. And this is what the banker is thinking on the back end. So, in the day, we look at the most important financial statements, right? Balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash flow, and connect why those are important. But we also go into the single most important financial metric, the number one ratio that business owners need to be paying attention to that they are often not.
Right.
And it's just not talked about in the world. It's not common knowledge. But the most exceptional business owners, and there's always going to be a few in our workshop that are like, yep, got it down pat.
Right.
But for the majority, a clear understanding of this particular metric can be a game changer.
Right.
And I actually say that because it was for me.
Yeah.
It was for me.
And it's, our news, our financial, reports and all those things that we hear in the news are always very skewed towards the Wall Street, right? So there's always the revenue number and the earnings per share and the stock price.
Yep.
those are not really the ones that you should be looking at if you're the business.
Listen, revenue is important.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's not everything.
you can make $1
Yeah.
and spend $2 making it, and that bottom line doesn't look so good. And
Absolutely.
there's a lot more, beyond that.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really interesting in the finance conversation is, there's a trick or a hint or a thing. There's a lever that can be pulled that can move the needle even on that revenue number. So like my personal story, the reason I wanted to do these workshops here is because I go to workshops. I go to learn.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people that come to ours, go to others. Like, we're not the only one. I went to a workshop in Las Vegas hosted at the acquisition.com headquarters, Layla and Alex Hormozy, and it was awesome. Now, it cost me $5,000 plus airfare plus hotel. So, whatever that number is all in, I didn't do all the math. But I learned just a couple of things over 2 days. 2 full days, I learned just a couple of things, and one of them I implemented here being OneAccord, and that will move our net income. It'll move revenue 8%. That'll go right to the bottom line.
Nice.
Right to the bottom line. It wasn't a new product. It wasn't a new service. It was a pricing strategy that cost us nothing, that goes right to the bottom line. So let's even say it was $10,000, which it wasn't. But if I had spent $10,000 on these 2 days, 8% of our top line, like, that is paid for time and time and time again.
Yeah.
One idea.
Yeah. That's
So
really power of knowledge and executing on that knowledge, which brings me to, where do you go from this worksheet, right? So it's that I think it's an important piece, that there's a clear evolution also for things that you do with OneAccord, right? And in the workshop, people get a preview of what OneAccord has called OASYS, right? The operating system, right? The business operating system. And it's all about execution and structuring your company in a way where it's almost like a self-driving business, right? It goes on their own, right? You put in the instructions on where do you want to go with it, and it kind of like executes on it. So that's one of the biggest things, but it's also, that's probably the next step in evolution from the workshop, right? It's like, if you want to go further and you want to kind of like have things done that you learned at the workshop, but you want to get them done and you're not 100% confident that you can do it on your own, it's almost like the next step that you can take, right?
The evolution. So some people will learn about our workshop because we share a 1 hour, a free online course that goes through the 8 levers that are in our book here. Yeah. The 8 key factors. I've got a copy right here. The 8 key drivers to enterprise value. What's going to make your business worth more? Some people have a copy of this book. They bought it on Amazon, or I like to say, don't buy our book. Email us and we'll send you a free copy. If you want to buy it on Amazon, that's cool, but we'll send you a free copy. And so they're the self-study type. They're going to read the book. At the end of each chapter, they're going to answer the questions, and they're going to say, okay, well, here's the lever that I need to pull. They will have watched the 1 hour course. That's the webinar course. And they're already kind of getting primed and qualified. Like, then they're going to come to the workshop and they're going to want to go deeper, and we take them deeper. And at the end of the workshop, they're walking away with a 90-day plan, identifying the rocks, the OKRs, like we've got, they're walking away with something that they're going to implement.
Right.
Then there's the person that's going to say, well, I want more. I need more. My challenges are bigger than, I want to handle on my own. And that's great. At every step along the way, we are understanding that this person is getting closer and closer and closer to becoming our ideal client, the person that we can serve excellently.
Yeah. Talk about I'm pretty sure that you have talked about the OneAccord's values on this podcast, but why don't you tell us a little bit about them? Right?
Our core values?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Truth, compassion, and service.
Mm-hmm.
So this company was founded 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Not by me. Jeff, my business partner, Jeff Rogers.
Yeah.
And we do talk about these values. We talk about their origin and their roots and what they mean. And to say that they are core values is the truth. They're values at our core. These are values that Jeff and I align on. Mm-hmm. So it was just as important to me coming in as a partner as it was for him to receive me as a partner.
Yeah.
That we align on values.
Yeah, that's one of the things that got me attracted to OneAccord, or at least got me and resonated with me, is that I have always said that in business, reality is your friend, right? So that's the truth aspect. It's you really have to know where you're standing. Going back to your finances, also, thing about the right financial reporting. You have to know where you're standing. You can't be delusional, about what you're doing. It's one of the aspects. But then there is the compassion, right? And is that by dealing with clients, with customers, as a consultant, as a coach, one of the things that you learn very, very quickly is that many, many times, and here comes the baby again, right? Many, many times, your job as a consultant or a coach is to tell the client that their baby is ugly, and their baby being their business, right?
Yeah.
And it's not easy, and it's not easy for them to hear that, right? So that's where the compassion aspect comes in.
And I'm going to interject. I think the truth and compassion in that context, like, I actually think that all babies are cute. Right. I really do. So, but I get the notion of the statement. Yeah. So I think the compassionate delivery here is that your baby needs to go through a season of growth, needs to go through a season of transition. The business in its current form is not optimized. It can be better. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Business owners are like, they're my people. I'm there. We are the same. Mm-hmm. I live and breathe the problems and the challenges that our clients face. Right. Yeah. And I have a huge heart for the challenge and the struggles. In the first quarter of 2025, there was so much disruption in the market, so many challenges, so many of our clients faced struggles. And I just, I'm not on the sidelines, but I'm not on the field with every one of them, but I'm cheering them on. As a business owner myself, I need people to tell me the truth. Right. And very few do. There is either a fear or an apprehension, or there's an ulterior motive, or there's a self-interest, or there's something there that I don't often get the unvarnished truth. And I can count on one hand the number of people whose truths, right, what they tell me, I believe. Right. It's there's another saying that it's lonely at the top. Oh yeah. And I like to think of leadership as the inverted triangle that leaders serve. And so I almost would prefer to say it's lonely at the bottom, whatever. It's lonely being an owner. Yeah. It feels, I don't want to take my worries and my struggles home and put it on my wife and kids. Yeah, that's one aspect. Then you don't know who you can trust, but most importantly, not many people are living your same reality. Right. All of these things. And because of that, you're
absolutely lonely already. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I find it so refreshing and so necessary to be in the presence of people who will tell me the truth,
Mm-hmm.
that know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are people that will say, speak truth, but it isn't necessarily helpful.
Yeah.
But then with compassion, right? Like I've got at least one, person close to me that is really good at telling the truth, and not the bedside manners are not that awesome. So I can go to this friend of mine and I know I'll hear it the hard way.
Yeah.
Um,
But you know the person, right? You already have a relationship. So you kind of, I have a friend like that as
Yeah.
well, who's kind of like a jerk all the time, right? But I know him and we love each other. And I know that I'm up for a jerk conversation, right?
But I also know all I'm going to get from that person is truth.
Yeah.
Not necessarily going to get compassion. And I'm not necessarily going to get service either.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the truth. You're on your own.
Let's talk about service.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about service.
So the whole idea, so we talked about truth, you have compassion, but then it's, why are we doing this? Because I can tell you this whole business of coaching and consulting is not an easy thing, right? So
no, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
People generally don't come to us because everything is going well.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't come to us because they've got everything they ever wanted.
Yeah.
They come to us because they're tired, they're frustrated, they're, at their wits' end, or they're faced with some tremendous opportunity and it's overwhelming. Right. People come to us in a time of need. We are often a painkiller, not a vitamin.
Yeah.
I think that the OASYS business coaching model can be more of a vitamin. Take it every day and you're going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
But often they're coming because there's acute pain. We have to step in and serve. And that really means we don't just tell people what to do. It's not just the truth with compassion, but we come alongside and serve. Right. And it can't be that way in every engagement. But we've got, we are organized in such a way where our delivery, the way that we work with clients, is that we will put people into the company on an interim or fractional basis. So they'll hire us to be in the company for a short period of time, and we do the work.
Right.
Alongside them, with them, or even for them. And when it comes to our business operating systems and the OASYS, the OneAccord systems, and you're seeing this on the inside, we are taking our own medicine.
Yeah.
As in, we're implementing these systems. So we're not telling somebody to do something we don't do ourselves. We've done it ourselves. And we know how difficult it is to adopt a new system, to bring people on board, to stay disciplined in it, right? I'm not going to.
It feels awkward sometimes, right?
Yes.
It's like it's not natural because you haven't done it before, right? So
and I, in my life, I've my lived experience, I've done things like the first example that came to me was ballroom dancing. You laugh because you look at me like ballroom dancing, this guy. The first time I was in a class with Ariana and we were dancing in front of other people was so intimidating, so awkward. Right?
Yeah.
And the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time. But today, I think I could walk onto a dance floor and not completely embarrass myself. In fact, this is a little bit of a personal story. We were on a family vacation, and we were in a hotel kind of lobby area, and there was a musician playing.
Okay.
And I just grabbed her hand and danced with her for the song. Just her and, how do I say this? Just her and me dancing in the lobby. And our kids were like, oh, and then they were kind of like, oh, and then our daughter took a video like, oh, that's cute. People around. And somebody a couple days later, we're at the poolside bars. I'm like, wow, you're a really good dancer. Huba, I'm not a good dancer. Yeah. I'm not a good dancer. So if I take this back to service, that was the question, right? We want to show up with, it's not even want to, we just do. It's our values. We don't bring people into OneAccord who don't have a heart to serve.
Mm-hmm.
We deliver truth compassionately, and we serve. So as we're leading organizations through transition, through growth, all with an eye towards maximizing value, we serve along the way. Thanks for asking about values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Cool.
Well, that's the balance of our first contact with a workshop, right?
Yeah.
It's a culmination of certain things, but it's the beginning also of lots of other things, right? So.
Yeah, I've shared with you, which is, I think, in part why you put so much energy into developing this, which thank you again. But I've shared with you that this is a core part of our strategy, delivering education to business owners. We'll host them here in our office.
Yeah.
And we'll even take the show on the road. I've talked with banks, with financial advisors, with folks that would like to deliver this kind of education to their clients. And so just thank you for putting the effort and building something for us that's going to be a lasting pillar to, well, really, going back to something in the workshop, it's a part of that flywheel,
right,
that continues to spin and help us operate profitably. Which, if you want to learn about flywheels and how that works, come to a workshop.
Yeah. And I'm glad to be part of the project, so thank you for that. Right. So if you want to learn about flywheels, hedgehogs, babies, what else do we talk about?
There's a little bit of finance and some sales techniques closed in there.
Right. But it's mostly that. It's mostly hedgehogs and flywheels.
Yeah, that's right. So we would just invite anyone who's interested in learning more about the workshop to visit our website, oneaccord.co, oneaccord.co, ONE accord.co, and there will be links there to workshops. If you want to email us for a copy of our book as a way to kind of get to know us and understand, there's a 1 hour online course that I deliver in a webinar fashion. If you want to, again, get to know us. And you were just holding up there, Huba, this report is something that we will provide for our clients. This is a 45-page report this one in particular is for pest control services. We can access data like this for any industry in the U.S. It is very comprehensive, all the financial metrics, all of the economic data, all of the peer data for industry after industry. This comes as a part of the workshop as well. Yeah. We work through real data, real issues. It's theory and application. I'm really proud of this.
Yeah, and every attendee of the workshop gets the chance to get their own report. They just have to put in their particular economic activity, right? And
it's the
it's the code, but it's basically what is the industry that they are in, right? And they get a comparison on, for example, right here it says that gross margin for this particular industry, it gets all the way to 62%, for example, right? So if you are only making 30%, it's not a good number, right?
But how do you know?
20, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So,
if you don't have any peer data to compare against, how do you know if you're doing bad, if you're doing good, if you're doing excellent? I worked with a client through last year, and they were able to manage their gross margin to the upper percentiles in their peer group. So they were actually moving the average up.
Oh, wow.
And their bottom line net profitability doubled year over year. having access to the data, knowing your numbers is so important. Just so important.
Yeah. So there's one interesting thing that came up during while we were, going through the different parts of the content and whatever, and it's this idea of the purpose of a business. Right? And every business has some kind of a purpose, right? And it cannot be just making money or whatever it is, right? But it's more about how do you serve your customers? What do you do for society? There's people who go even further and they go into, something bigger, especially nonprofits do that. But I think that business owners do as well, right? It's like they want to build something for the families, maybe their own families, or maybe the families of the people who work for them, right? Or there is this idea of so two things. One is how many people are really satisfied with the purpose of their business, right? How many people are excited about it and gets them out of bed and all that, right? And is that the right thing? Is that what they should be doing? And then there's this idea of the massive transformative purpose, which is, a whole language area where we can get into. But what are your thoughts about that?
I would ask the question, how many people even know what the purpose of, or how many businesses operate with a purpose?
Right.
So, Milton Friedman would say that the purpose of a business is to create a profit for its shareholders.
Right.
And while that can be true, it's boring.
Right.
It's not exciting.
And it's not only that, but it's the same for every single business.
It's not distinctive.
Right. It's not distinctive. Yeah.
So I'm a believer in that. Yeah. And I think you are too. I joked, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
We're in business for a reason, maybe many reasons, and profitability is one of them.
But that's not the purpose, right? That's
it could be. If somebody's never thought about the purpose of their business, that may be it. And it's just not compelling. It's not. So to get into the purpose makes me think of Simon Sinek and, your why and these, and these are whole, thought exercises, and we got to go take a walk in the woods and meditate and, be in the sauna and take a sweat lodge and figure out what our purpose in life is. Right. Yeah. But I think about, talk about OneAccord.
Right.
For years, we've used the language building value built on values.
Right.
And building value gets close to that purpose.
Right.
Right. Building value for the owners of the company, increasing the enterprise value of their company. But there's more to that, right? We want to think that there's a legacy component there. There's a real impact component there. But even we haven't articulated that in the framework of this massive transformational purpose.
Right.
That's a fun exercise.
Yeah.
I can put a goal around that. And I can say that over the next 10 years, I'd like for us to be a part of creating $1 billion in enterprise value. And I can draw a straight line to stories where we've assisted owners in increasing the value from 6 million to 12 million, from an offer to purchase at 25 million in cash and 50 million earned out over years to 100 million all cash, right? We created economic opportunity. We created value, built value. So in the context of purpose,
yes,
there's the question of why. And not everybody knows this story, although I begin to tell it more. My mother was an entrepreneur. She and my aunt operated a hair salon, a beauty salon, for 20 years. And at the end of 20 years, they were in a leased space. They didn't own the building they were in, and the lease ran out. And they sold the equipment, turned out the lights, and just shut down the business. And this was in the mid-90s. My instinct tells me that business probably had an enterprise value of $500,000 to $1 million. Just understanding the mechanics of the business and knowing how they had operated, I think that's about right. And I just believe that neither of them really knew or understood that there was enterprise value there.
Right.
And not that it was necessary for any of us to have, like, it's not about the money per se in this case. Like, I'm not angry that mom didn't make $1 million, but I just think 20 years of her life
Right.
went into that. And there was value there that wasn't realized. And that makes me both sad and angry. And I just don't ever want that to happen to anybody that I love.
Yeah.
And I love a lot of people. So when I think about the purpose of the work that we do, I tie that back to my personal why. And then I think, well, how is that a massive transformational purpose? Well, how many Wandas, it's my mom's name, how many Wandas are there in the world that gave their life to building a business that deserve?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things in life that give you satisfaction, right? But building a business, building a legacy there on that side, it may contribute to, when you're on, and not to be, not to go too much with the cliche, but on your deathbed, when you say, well, that was worth it, right?
Yeah.
Right. This was a good ride, right? And maybe selling your business is part of that, right? And so, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could talk about these concepts ad nauseum. We could go on and on, but so fun today with you, just getting into the Value Accelerator Workshop. So excited for the next one and the next one and the next one. This is going to be a staple of what we do and how we serve our clients.
I just think that, thinking about service and everything that you said, this is just another way of extending even more the impact that we can make, right? Because it gives access to a lot more people to what we do, right? And I'm just excited about it. It's a fantastic thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
All
okay.
Right.
Well, we'll see you again in the Value Accelerator Workshop real soon.
Right.
Thanks, Huba.
Thank you.